So you mentioned a couple different like frameworks, and I want to dive into whatever you have time for. You
Yes.
mentioned the profit method and the overwhelm antidote. Is there either of those that you want to kind of talk about?
I'm going to try to get through both of them in 5 minutes. I mean, I have like 10. Okay. So, since we've been talking a lot about visibility, and by the way, everyone needs visibility, right? You actually need three things to be considered an expert, or I should say, to be really embodying an expert. Visibility is new eyes on your business, right? Now, I am a big fan of creating incredible products and services that you have great retention, you have great ascension, right? We don't always want to be going out and getting new clients. We want clients to be bringing us referrals, and that's literally what I teach because that is sustainable regardless of social media platforms. But you need new eyes. How do you leverage other people's platforms? By giving value to get in front of new eyes, and this is without running ads. Ads are just a growth strategy. Number two is credibility. That is, can you do what you say you're going to do? And so you can show credibility in testimonials, a very clear niche, clear calls to action, clear messaging. Those all create credibility. And so does press. I mean, unfortunately or fortunately, I mean, unfortunately for me and what I teach, but logos on your websites do bring credibility. Again, doesn't make you better or worse. It just means that you're credible. And then the last is profit, because we are in business for purpose as entrepreneurs, but we're also in business for profit, and we all deserve to be paid well and to be paid our value. So what the profit method is this is something that I use as a framework for speaking, for podcasting. Really, almost you can really use it for just about anything. I would call this, it's under the umbrella of being a good human being in business, which is like the first rule of business. So the P stands for pitch. I say that in the media. You have to stop waiting for opportunities to fall on your lap. Now, when you start to put yourself out there, they will start to, right? But we have to pull ourselves up to the table, like grab our own seat. We have to raise our hand. You can also just say P is put yourself out there. So be willing to ask for the things that you want. Be willing to pitch for them. Okay. Be willing to share how you bring value and to ask for value back. The R, though, is relationship building. None of this works without relationship building. And we are in a society, in a time where people can be very transactional, and you can feel that, right? Like, business is an energy, and you can feel when someone is looking at you as a number, when they are looking at your money as a dollar, right? You could tell the difference of someone who gets on as like, I want to pick your brain. How'd you do this? Versus, like, I had a call today with this incredible woman. And the thing that I always ask on every call, and you can also borrow this from me, is, what are you excited about right now? What are you working on? Where do you need support or help or a resource? And what would be a helpful introduction? So ask people that. And then, by the way, also do the follow up, which that's part of the profit method. But the P is put yourself out there, a pitch. The R is relationship build. Like, you actually have to build relationships, and quality over quantity. The O is your offer or your opt in. So I don't mean, like, I would not be on this podcast. I would be completely out of integrity if I was like, and here's this that I sell, and here's the price of this, and I was trying to close you. By the way, if you have a desire to be a podcast guest, you should never try to make an offer on someone else's platform, ever, right? You're consuming on a free platform. And by the way, it's Jesse's platform, right? It's not my platform. So if I give you great value, then that's an invitation to go over to where I live on whatever my platforms are, my podcast, my social, and to go get value from me there. Okay.
Hmm.
So the offer or the opt-in should be something of incredible value. Okay, we can call it a lead magnet or a freebie. It should be something of incredible value. Or, by the way, on a podcast, it's called a listener gift. Again, pulling back the
I didn't even
curtain.
know this.
Yeah, the listener gift. I mean, I'm hoping that we're giving education. And that listener gift should be something that goes towards the value you create. So, example, one of my clients has birthing center. She's a midwife. And I'm like, okay, so you want it to be something that every ideal client of yours would want. A health coach, it could be like a habit tracker. A midwife, it could be like list of healthy, amazing things you can still have during pregnancy, right? So think about that. So for me, my listener gift that you can all go get on my website, Rebecca Cafiero, Cafiero.com, is my irresistible 4-in-1 pitch template. And this pitch template that works for podcast, it's tweakable for podcast, TV, speaking engagements, and what's the fourth one? Thought leadership or like media. I have had more than 6,000 women use it to get tens of thousands of visibility opportunities. And by the way, when I said stats, that's called social proof. So that also is helpful, is share the results. But that's the
You said women, men too. Could I?
yes, you can go get it. I should say 6,000 people. I'm sure there are some men in there. Joel, our friend Joel, is definitely one of those.
Okay.
But yes, any gender, mostly women have gotten it. I mean, so if you're a guy and you don't like pink, that's just my brand. The F is for follow up. And this is so important. So, like I said, I was on this call today with this incredible woman. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I want you on my podcast. I would love to have you speak in my group. But I'd also, here's something by the way, that serves me. First, I was like, I have an introduction for you. I'm going to connect you to. So tomorrow I'll be cleaning up my follow up for the week of anyone I've talked to. You can do it that day, you can do it that week, right? And I'll be making those introductions as I promised. The follow up is important. And if you're pitching yourself, that follow up could look like following up with a podcast host. That could look
Mhm.
like following up with a reporter. By the way, the follow up should never be bumping this to the top of your inbox. I know you're busy. It should always be offering more value. Hey, Jesse, oh my gosh, I know that you're so busy. I have something that I think you'd really love whenever you can, get up for a breath of air. Let me send you a breath work. Whenever you feel compelled, would love to know your thoughts. That is follow up. The I is impact. And again, be a good human being. Nothing works if you're not creating impact. Like none of this works without it. It's a house of cards. So I shared earlier, if you want to create impact, especially if you're speaking, teaching, training, or I mean, you could be writing an email, but if you think about if I am communicating my value and my message to the world, how can I make sure that I have tactile how to information? I give them inspiration, which could be belief, case studies, testimonials, examples, cheer them on. And then how do I give them some type of call to action to give them a micro win? That's the impact. The T is just track it, because what you will see is if you begin to track this information, like I did not, by the way, I did not in 2017 when I started pitching myself to media, I did not think I would be on podcasts telling people how to do this.